Welcome back to Crypto Equation, and today we are stepping into one of the most important yet misunderstood topics in the entire digital asset world. The real reason ISO 2022 matters, and why XRP finds itself perfectly aligned with the direction global finance is already moving toward, even if most people do not see it yet. ISO 2022 might sound like a complicated technical standard, but once you understand its purpose, meaning, and impact, you begin to see why it has become one of the key foundations of the future financial system and why people keep linking XRP to this transformation. The truth is simple. ISO 2022 is not a trend. It is not a theory. It is the new language of global money. And when the world changes its language, the assets that already speak that language gain an undeniable structural advantage. But to truly understand this, you must forget the noise and look at the deeper reality. ISO 2022 is not about making payments faster. It is about making global systems smarter. It is about replacing outdated financial communication with a rich, intelligent data standard that gives every institution a clearer view of what money is doing, how it is moving, and what information is traveling with it. And for the first time in decades, the financial world is synchronizing around a single standard. When global systems synchronize, the assets that integrate naturally with those systems become more relevant. This is where XRP comes in. Before we explore that connection, we need to go back to the beginning. The financial system the world depends on right now runs on messaging standards that were created decades ago. These standards were not built for tokenization, digital currencies, instant settlement, or real-time global commerce. They were built for an analog era. In that era, payments were slow, data was limited, systems were isolated, and the world accepted these limitations because there was no alternative. But the world has changed dramatically. Commerce is instant. Information is instant. Identity is digital. Business runs 24/7. Yet the systems that move value across the world still operate like they are stuck in the 1980s. ISO 20022 is the solution to this problem. It is a modern messaging standard that gives financial systems the ability to communicate in a single universal language with richer data, deeper transparency, stronger compliance, and far more flexibility. It is designed for a world where value must move as fast as information. And that world is already here. So if ISO 2022 is the new language of money, the next question becomes, why is this language so important and why does it matter for XRP? To answer that, we need to understand what messaging actually is. Most people believe that when a payment is made, money moves instantly. But in reality, money rarely moves. It is messages that move. A payment is simply a message instructing a bank or institution to shift balances. And when the messaging layer is outdated, the entire system slows down. ISO 20022 upgrades the messaging layer to match the speed and complexity of modern global commerce. Now let us bring XRP into the picture. XRP is not a messaging system. It is a settlement asset. Messaging tells systems what to do. Settlement actually moves value. ISO 20022 modernizes the messaging. XRP modernizes the settlement. When messaging becomes smarter and settlement becomes faster, the entire global system becomes more efficient. This is why people link XRP to ISO 20022, not because of conspiracy or speculation, but because both technologies belong to the same structural upgrade of global finance. But let us go deeper because this connection is much more profound than most people realize. ISO 2022 is not just a messaging upgrade. It is the foundation for interoperability across currencies, networks, and systems. It allows banks and institutions across the world to operate using the same structured information. This interoperability is essential for digital currencies, stablecoins, tokenized assets, and blockchain systems. Without a universal messaging standard, these systems cannot interact efficiently. ISO 2022 fixes that. It creates the foundation where different forms of digital value can communicate clearly, and XRP is one of the assets designed to move value between systems. This is where the alignment becomes undeniable. Three forces are shaping the future of money: the rise of digital currencies, the rise of tokenized value, and the rise of real-time settlement systems. All three depend on ISO 2022, and XRP sits at the intersection of all three. That is why people keep saying XRP is aligned with the future. Because the future requires interoperability, and XRP is built for interoperability. Let us explore the next layer, the power of rich data. Old systems used message formats so limited they could barely describe the details of a transaction. This created friction, delays, errors, compliance issues, and inefficiencies that cost the world billions every year. ISO 2022 solves this by allowing messages to include detailed, structured information. The more information a system carries, the more intelligent the system becomes. Rich data means faster compliance, faster approvals, faster settlement. And XRP thrives in environments where speed matters. Now let us take a closer look at institutional adoption. Banks, central banks, corporations, and payment networks across the world have already committed to ISO 2022 migration. This is not speculation. This is not optional. This is already happening. By adopting a shared standard, they can communicate instantly and consistently across borders. But messaging alone is not enough. Once messaging becomes instant, settlement must follow. Otherwise, the system remains bottlenecked. This is where assets like XRP become relevant, because the world is moving toward an environment where messaging and settlement must align in real time. You cannot have instant communication combined with old, slow settlement models. The world will not tolerate that mismatch for long. Now let us turn to something most people never think about: the psychology of global standardization. Humans resist change. Institutions resist change even more. For decades, there was no global agreement on how financial messaging should work. But when the world finally reached consensus around ISO 2022, that signaled something extraordinary. It signaled that the financial system is preparing for a unified digital future. And whenever unification occurs, the assets built for interoperability enter the spotlight. XRP is not important because it is a cryptocurrency. XRP is important because it is interoperable. Now let us explore the bridge role of XRP, because this is where the ISO 2022 conversation becomes extremely simple. A bridge asset needs three things: interoperability data, clarity, and settlement speed. ISO 20022 gives the financial world the first two. XRP offers the third. Messaging cannot solve settlement. Settlement cannot solve messaging. But when they operate together, the global system modernizes at scale. This modernization is not a theory. It is happening right now. Now let us go into why ISO 2022 is the foundation of digital value, because this is where most holders finally understand the bigger picture. Tokenization is coming. Digital currencies are coming. Real-time global commerce is already here, but none of these can function efficiently using legacy messaging. ISO 20022 allows digital assets to integrate seamlessly into the global financial fabric, and XRP is one of the assets built to operate inside that fabric. Now let us break down why ISO 2022 matters for XRP in the simplest possible terms. If ISO 2022 is the language, XRP is the movement. If ISO 2022 is the communication, XRP is the execution. If ISO 2022 is the instruction, XRP is the settlement. Message and movement must operate together. This is the alignment. This is the advantage. This is the clarity most people overlook. Now let us explore the advantage more deeply, because ISO 2022 is rich data-driven settlements powered by assets like XRP become far more efficient. Institutions using ISO messages can instantly understand the purpose, origin, and structure of a payment. This creates an environment where instant settlement becomes not just possible but preferred. Speed becomes an advantage only when clarity already exists. This is why XRP thrives in an ISO 2022 world. Now let us talk about scale. ISO 20022 is being adopted by more than 70 countries' global banking networks, clearing houses, and high-value payment systems. This standard will dominate global finance for decades, and XRP is built to serve cross-border value movement across those same systems. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. But let us go deeper, because there is something even more important that most people never think about. ISO 2022 is the first step toward unified financial intelligence. When messaging improves, systems become smarter. And when systems become smarter, settlement must evolve to match that intelligence. This is why XRP is part of the digital conversation. The modern system cannot run on old rails. Now let us talk about the final layer of this first half, the shift toward automation. ISO 2022 is built for automation. It is built for a future where artificial intelligence, smart contracts, and automated financial processes manage global value movement. For automation to work, settlement must be instant. This is where XRP's advantage becomes clear. You cannot automate a world where settlement takes days. ISO 20022 brings the intelligence. XRP brings the speed. Together, they form the foundation of the next era of global value movement. The second half of this script will go even deeper into global adoption, the psychology of modern financial transformation, the structural alignment between ISO 20022 and digital settlement rails, and the real reason understanding this system now puts you far ahead of the world. Because the second half of this story reveals the deeper truth behind ISO 2022 and why it matters far more than people realize, not as a speculative narrative, but as the backbone of the digital financial era the world is already stepping into. To understand the real advantage XRP holds, you must understand the size of the transformation ISO 2022 is enabling, because this shift is not just technical, it is structural, it is global, and it is irreversible. When the world upgrades the language of money, the systems built to move value in that new language rise in relevance, and XRP is aligned with that rise in a way most people have not yet fully seen. The first deeper truth is the global synchronization ISO 2022 brings. For decades, financial systems operated in silos, each country using its own messaging formats, each institution using its own standards, each network building its own rules. This fragmentation created delays, errors, mismatches, compliance issues, and inefficiencies across borders. ISO 2022 breaks these silos. It creates a unified global communication layer. And for the first time, the world is speaking the same financial language. This global synchronization is not optional. It is necessary for digital transformation. And any asset designed to operate across borders benefits from this alignment, because settlement becomes easier, faster, and more reliable when the messaging layer is unified. The second deeper truth is the rise of data-driven finance. Old systems could not carry detailed information. Payment messages were short-limited and unclear. But ISO 20022 messages contain deep structured rich data, enabling automation, compliance, verification, and precision. This is crucial for a digital world where every transaction must be both instant and intelligent. XRP thrives in data-rich environments because the asset settles instantly, and rich data removes friction from that settlement. The third truth is the growing pressure on institutions to modernize. Banks and financial networks are not adopting ISO 2022 because they want to. They are adopting it because they must. The economy demands faster payments. Commerce demands interoperability. Regulation demands transparency. Consumers demand real-time value. ISO 20022 is the upgrade that makes all of this possible. But settlement must match the intelligence of these new systems. Without modern settlement rails, the messaging upgrade becomes incomplete. XRP represents one of the settlement models capable of operating at this new speed. The fourth truth is the rise of digital currencies. Central banks around the world are building digital versions of their fiat currencies. These digital currencies require interoperability. Without ISO 2022, they cannot communicate globally. Without modern settlement, they cannot operate efficiently. ISO 20022 enables communication. XRP enables settlement. This is why their alignment matters. The fifth truth is tokenization. Everything from stocks to bonds to real estate will be tokenized. Tokenization does not replace the financial system. It upgrades it. But tokenized assets must move across chains, networks, and borders. This movement requires two things: standardized messaging and instant settlement. ISO 20022 provides the first. XRP provides the second. The sixth truth is cross-border finance. Today, it is slow, expensive, and fragmented. Banks hold trillions of dollars in nostro accounts around the world just to facilitate settlement. ISO 2022 allows institutions to communicate instantly, but unless settlement becomes instant too, the entire system remains inefficient. XRP solves the settlement side. This is why the alignment is powerful. ISO 20022 is the new brain. XRP is part of the new body. The seventh truth is automation. The future financial system will run on automation, artificial intelligence, and real-time verification. Automated systems cannot operate on slow settlement rails. Automation needs instant finality, instant confirmation, instant movement of value. XRP is built for this environment. The eighth truth is interoperability. The digital world will not run on one chain, one network, or one type of asset. It will be a multi-chain, multi-network, multi-asset environment. ISO 20022 creates a unified communication layer across all of these systems. XRP acts as a bridge between them. This bridge role becomes stronger in a world where all systems speak the same messaging language. The ninth truth is that modernization happens quietly. Institutions do not announce every upgrade. They test privately. They experiment internally. They align behind closed doors. The public only sees the final announcements. ISO 2022. Adoption has already begun years before most people even noticed. This is why XRP holders who understand this shift feel early. They see a transformation most people still overlook. The 10th truth is the shift away from fragmentation. Fragmentation is the enemy of efficiency. Fragmentation slows trade, isolates economies, and increases risk. The world is moving toward unified frameworks, unified messaging, unified settlement. ISO 2022 is the first step. Digital settlement is the second. This is where XRP aligns naturally. The 11th truth is that institutions evaluate systems, not hype. They look for reliability, predictability, efficiency, and scalability. ISO 20022 is being adopted because it meets these requirements. XRP is studied for the same reason. The 12th truth is the shift from outdated rails to modern infrastructure. For decades, the world accepted slow settlement because there was no alternative. But the moment institutions gained access to faster, more efficient solutions, the pressure to upgrade became unavoidable. ISO 20022 provides the structure for the upgrade. XRP provides the speed. The 13th truth is the rise of programmable money. Smart contracts, automated settlement, and digital identity require more than faster payments. They require structured data and intelligent communication. ISO 2022 allows financial messages to carry complex instructions. XRP enables those instructions to settle instantly. This is why they fit together. The 14th truth is global competition. Countries are racing to modernize. Nations that fall behind in digital finance lose influence. ISO 20022 is part of this race. Instant settlement is part of this race. XRP sits in the overlap. The 15th truth is that the value of being early is understanding the direction before the destination becomes obvious. People who study ISO 2022 and XRP see the same pattern. The world is preparing for a digital future where messaging and settlement operate together seamlessly. This is why understanding XRP's ISO 2022 advantage now matters more than ever. Because the world is not moving backward. The system is already transforming. ISO 2022 is the new language. XRP is part of the new movement. Together, they reveal the architecture of the financial era being built right now. And the people who see it early are the ones who recognize that the future does not arrive suddenly. It arrives quietly through standards, through upgrades, through structural changes that seem invisible until they become unavoidable. This is the digital future unfolding beneath the surface. And this is the simple truth. ISO 20022 is the operating system of modern finance. XRP is a tool built to function inside that operating system. Messaging and movement, communication and settlement, intelligence and speed, these two forces will define the future of global value. And understanding them today puts you years ahead of the world. Now let us talk about the final layer of this first half, the shift toward automation. ISO 2022 is built for automation. It is built for a future where artificial intelligence, smart contracts, and automated financial processes manage global value movement. For automation to work, settlement must be instant. This is where XRP's advantage becomes clear. You cannot automate a world where settlement takes days. ISO 20022 brings the intelligence. XRP brings the speed. Together they form the foundation of the next era of global value movement. The second half of this script will go even deeper into global adoption, the psychology of modern financial transformation, the structural alignment between ISO 20022 and digital settlement rails, and the real reason understanding this system now puts you far ahead of the world.